All right, so everybody's talking about school shootings and how do we solve it, and it frustrates me that nobody's talking about the obvious solution that would actually work, and I believe the only solution that would work. Now, I'm what I call a sensible gun owner. I don't think gun control and gun rights are mutually exclusive. I think there's a lot of people like me who are in the middle. I own guns. I do have a license to carry, and I do carry, but I obviously support universal background checks because I'm a sane person. Now, I want to dispel the current myths. So first off, let's talk about the pro-gun people who say the solution is that we arm teachers. We let licensed, trained teachers, maybe they're former military or whatever, who cares? Let's let them, bring their guns in. I agree with you that the current status quo doesn't make any sense because we let bad guys come in with their gun unimpeded. Nobody stops them. But the only people who would protect those students, they are legally prohibited from bringing their gun in, and that just doesn't make any sense. It's common sense. It's crazy. Okay, but you have to concede as a rational person that if you arm teachers, that might help. That I agree that gives them a fighting chance. But is a teacher who's probably got a 380 in their purse down the hall, is that going to actually solve the problem of stopping school shootings? And the answer is no. It may reduce the body count. It may be that maybe somebody in that school can confront that shooter sooner, possibly stop them, possibly, have less, deaths, but it won't stop deaths because it's reactionary. Somebody comes in, they start shooting up students, and then that teacher down the hall or whatever maybe is able to react. Also, the argument is, well, that'll be a deterrent. Come on, guys. They're all suicide missions. All these guys are hell-bent on dying anyway. So I just don't think that the knowledge that maybe there's a teacher somewhere in the school who might be carrying, I don't think that deters any of these guys from going and killing a bunch of people. I think that the only solution is to actually make the school a true gun-free zone. And it frustrates me that the anti-gun people call a school a gun-free zone, but it's not actually gun-free. Okay, it's not. Sorry that you want it to be. I want it to be, but it's not. Okay, so if I take a red piece of chalk and draw a circle around a school and say it's a gun-free zone, but I don't do anything else, it's not gun-free. I can walk into a school right now with a gun. Nobody's going to stop me. Some schools in my area, they do have metal detectors and all that stuff, so I couldn't. But a school that doesn't, I can walk right in. Now, it would be illegal, but I can do it. Okay, so it's not a gun-free zone. Okay, anybody can get a gun in there, including a student. It's like saying that if I strung up a red piece of yarn, that that's going to stop the shooter. They're going to walk up and say, "Oh, look, it's a gun-free zone. I guess we'll just go home." Obviously not, right? So the only way to do it is to actually stop them physically. And I don't understand why our society seems so adamantly opposed to metal detectors and police officers or armed security at the entrances and exits to the school during mornings and afternoons. And it's like everybody keeps saying, well, we're not willing to turn our schools into prisons. Both people on both sides of the argument say, no, we're not doing that. We're not turning our schools into prisons. I don't understand that. When you go to a sporting arena, you go to a baseball game, you got to go through a metal detector, and there's cops everywhere. Okay, is that a prison? When I go through airport security, is that a prison? Why is it that our society is perfectly fine having that level of security at those places with a lot of people in it, but when it comes to protecting our children, everybody's like, no, too far. We're not doing it. I don't get it. The thing is that, if with reasonable certainty, right, I can't bring a gun through airport security. Okay, if I try, they're going to stop me. They're going to find me. And there's cops all over the place. So the airport security is truly a gun-free zone. And the thing is that not only am I legally prohibited from carrying, I don't need to carry because it's a secured area. Everybody's going through the security check. None of the bad guys can get a gun in there, so I don't need to have a gun, and I've got armed security. Okay, so that's the only solution. We have to have metal detectors. We have in mornings and afternoons. There has to be security there protecting those students. And if a shooter comes up and he attacks the entry point, at least then, you're not trapped in a classroom. People can flee. They can go in. They can scatter. And you have armed security right there to immediately stop that person at the entry point. That's the only way. Now, as far as the anti-gun people are like, well, let's just ban assault rifles and all that stuff. It's the same argument, guys. You have to admit, as a rational, I'm not saying, I concede to you. Again, as an open-minded person, I concede. I'm not saying it wouldn't help. Okay, even though I'm a gun guy, the fact is, I concede as a rational person. If you took away certain types of guns, you took away certain types of ammunition, you took away certain types of magazines, that may help reduce the body count and may make it a little bit more difficult. But the thing is, in Iraq or Afghanistan, okay, yes, a rifle is much more effective than a pistol. But against sixth graders trapped in the classroom, what's the difference? If I have a 9mm pistol, it holds 14 rounds. I've got extra magazines. I don't really understand the argument. So I agree there has to be limits. There are limits today. I'm open to the idea of tweaking those limits where it makes sense. I think some of the gun restrictions also don't make sense. There's room in there for us to come to the middle. But you have to concede that doesn't solve the problem, right? If you ban one type of rifle, there's another type of rifle, there's a pistol, there's a sword, there's an axe, there's a dagger. It doesn't solve the problem. The only way to do it is physical security and actually making our schools a true gun-free zone.